Is there a need right now to relook at India's population policy? Let's cut across to Professor Ravi Srivastava, Director, Center for Employment Studies, Institute for Human Development, Poonam Mutreja, Executive Director, Population Foundation of India. Ms. Mutreja, beginning with you, the sad part is there is always an element of politics involved when we talk about India's population woes or population policy. But do you see as one of the best solutions is to be forged in getting politicians to maybe behave in an apolitical manner and look at long-term future of the country? And where do you think it stands when we look at our population policy currently?
India has the richest demographic data. Whether it is census or NFHS, which you quoted. And if an anchor can sound like a demographer, as you did, and give the right data, which is so clear in terms of what direction we should go in, I don't see why our politicians don't have access to that. We have a bureaucracy who gets the data, especially the population policy makers in the state as well as at the center. In fact, we have an excellent population policy. Yes, you can revisit to see how we can focus on young people more, given that India's population, 365 million young people. But the politics that are played in without using demographic data, but are based on politics, are based on ideologies. Let's remember this is about women's very private lives. It is about their bodies. It is about their reproductive rights and justice. To play politics, whichever the party, it is absolutely unacceptable. And I hope people will introspect, given women are a big vote bank, and given that women know how many children they want today. They didn't some years ago. Today, for anybody to imagine that the women's aspirations they are not going to follow is making a huge mistake. Women do not wish to have more than 2 children in India.
Okay.
In fact, wanted fertility is 1.
But Ms. Mutreja, for the sake of an argument, as I bring in Professor Srivastava into this, I ask you that question because we have seen a decline in the fertility rate, and we put that out in statistics. Yes. It also means that the country's much touted demographic dividend, 2/3 of India still comes between the 15 to 59 age group, a strong economic growth due to large population, which is, still in that working age category, will peter out. So there is an argument on the other side by the likes of, there might be a cultural aspect to it, but this is the economic aspect to it.
No, but the economic aspect also, along with demographic aspect, is that we need to get a strong India economically. We need to invest in these young people and their skilling, their education, their mental and physical well-being in terms of health. We need to make a lot of investment in these people. And given that the number is high, India is not going to have a situation where suddenly we are going to a 2.1 fertility rate will immediately result in minus growth rates. No, it's not. There is a population momentum that is going to continue thanks to these young people. India will begin to decline only in 2100. We have 75 years to plan, not only for our demographic dividend and become economically powerful, but we also have to plan for the aging population and the elephant in the room. I think the political leaders are distracting us from the fact that there is a delimitation exercise, which is really worrying South India, where fertility has declined, and they will seats, they will lose money.
Ms. Mutreja, bringing in Professor Srivastava, because, you make that point, which is highly politically emotive, which is the delimitation exercise and redrawing constituencies on the basis of population. But that aside, if we stick right now, to what we spoke of, but you say the current population policy is perfect, which limits to 2 children. But, Professor Srivastava, something which Ms. Mutreja also agreed. The fact is, where the southern states are concerned, or the state of West Bengal, the fertility rate is much lower than other states. It's not uniform. The fall in fertility rate across the country is not uniform. Much higher in certain poor, and more populous states, and much lower in the southern states. So there is now that entire cultural argument, which was also, if one says, was highlighted by Mohan Bhagwat's speech, where you have even the likes of chief ministers of two states, be it Tamil Nadu, be it Andhra Pradesh, come out and say very clearly that you need to preserve our culture. Who's going to do that when we are going to see such a sharp decline? Because some states have a fertility rate of 1.6.
Yeah, so let's say there are two sides to this whole debate. One, we may have missed out till now, which is that the old Malthusian specter of overpopulation, that, determining everything, determining development, is now behind us. We are now focusing, for several decades, we are focusing on a changing population structure and on fertility rates which are going down. Fertility rates, as you have pointed out, are going down everywhere. They're going down in every state at different rates. They're going down across all communities. They're going down across rural and urban areas. The rates may be different, but there is a population momentum, as was pointed out, which we have to take note of. The second thing is, in this whole changing structure of population, there is again this focus back on the question of demographic dividend. Demographic dividend basically means that there is a phase in this changing population structure when the ratio of earning people, potentially the ratio of population in the earning age group to the non-age earning age group, that is the dependents, it goes up. And because it goes up, if the actual number of earners goes up, then the economies are able to save and invest and are able to push the economic growth up, the rate of economic growth up. So we are in that phase where there is still this window of demographic opportunity open to us. The problem is, are we able to utilize this window of demographic opportunity? And we're just tinkering or, talking about pro-natalist policies, raising the fertility, trying to, put the clock back and raise fertility rates. Because fertility rates, you see, the people have already made a choice. They've made a choice in favor of lower fertility, one way or another. And it is very difficult to push the clock back, as, analysis from all over the world tells us. What we need to do is to provide jobs to the people who are there. And here we are, the economy is just not providing enough jobs. It's not a question of population. We are in the stage of demographic dividend. This will be with us for a few more decades, but we are not able to provide quality jobs.
But then are there lessons to learn from China? I'm playing the devil's advocate here because both of you seemingly have the same point of view.
Sure. So what is your
the question that I ask? Then aren't there lessons that we need to learn from China? Because if you look at it, they followed a particular policy and then are now suffering at the back of it.
So we basically, as I said, we don't, China is a very different, because China used coercive policies in order to reduce the size of the population and reduce the size of the family. We also have an experience with coercive policies, as you pointed out, during the emergency period. But nevertheless, basically now people have made rational choices. People have made
Ms. Mutreja, would you want to weigh in on that? And then I need to quickly wrap up the show, ma'am.
Yes.
So they have chosen quality over quantity.
Okay. Ms. Mutreja, quickly, ma'am.
So China did a rapid decline. India has gone steady. In fact, India, while we could have invested more in family planning and women's empowerment like South India did, but India did it in a very balanced way. And China, we should learn what not to do from China. And right now, what we can learn from China is that, as Professor Ravi said, you cannot reverse the trend. And China is recognizing that now.
I thank you for both of you for joining us. Appreciate it. Thank you there.